I've lived it in the mud, the chaos, and the moments nobody writes about. This show is the truth, raw, unfiltered, and built for leaders who actually give a damn. If you're ready to grow, ready to own your own story, and ready to lead from the front, you're in the right place. Speak up, show up, lead. Let's get into it. So welcome to another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. Today we're doing a growth forge, a growth conversation based off a book we've read. And I'm here with my co-host. By the way, I'm JJ Hardy, and I'm here with my boy Lil Saint, aka Vic, or maybe it's the other way around, Vic, aka Lil Saint. But
there you go. You got it right the second time.
How you doing today, brother?
Oh man, I am blessed and highly favored. That's all I could say.
Yes, always better than we deserve. So today we're going to be talking about, well, the title of the show is The Masks We Wear, Self-Leadership Beyond the Image. And it's actually based off of, so a couple weeks ago, if you were with us, we talked about chapter 2 of the book we're reading, which is The Laws of Human Nature. This one right here by Robert Greene. But today we're talking about chapter 3. It was an interesting read. I listened to it again this morning, and Vic and I compared notes, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. But, you know, it's seeing through people's masks. It's talking about how everybody, and you're not going to like it when I say this, and I didn't like it at first either until I read the context, but everyone puts on a facade. And no, we're not talking about narcissism, people trying to play nice and show people a different side of them on purpose. No. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about putting on a facade for the sake of fitting in, but it actually being as close to your authentic self as you can possibly be. And so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. What are your thoughts about this, Vic?
Well, before we get into it, for our radio station listeners, if you are listening live and want to chime in, you can call in at 909-295-1589. Once again, 909-295-1589. So my thoughts are, I truly feel and think that everybody, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this because I probably got some females listening, but everybody puts on a mask when they're dating or, they're trying to get someone into a marriage. And a lot of times, I'm going to be honest, a lot of times we all fake. You know what I'm saying? We all fake, and then when you get married, things change.
Yeah.
Things change. And you know what the sad part is? It's playing the role to get you.
Yeah, but what about when it's not intentional? And this is something that people do in just day-to-day life. We're going to talk about some case studies here today that specifically point out some things that are interesting. And actually, hypnotists and some other people are very, they've made a living doing this stuff. So I guess the real question that I want to ask the audience is, are you paying attention to what people say or what they constantly reveal?
Yeah. You got Lyndon B. Johnson as an example, who became a master politician because he learned to study people. And you know what the funny thing is? It's funny that it says politician. We start way off the bat right now. We are batting 3,000 today.
Yeah.
Let's go. So
well, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
Well, so we talked about this last time we had a conversation, and it was in reference to narcissism, where it's important to make sure that when we're having conversations and we're getting to know people, that you got to pay attention to body language, tone of voice, emotional reactions, kind contradictions and stuff like that, because, you know, in politics, that's what they do, but they do it in a way that, well, I guess a good book to go over this would be How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is called, Carnegie does this. So, you know, it allows you to become influential. And, you know, the book talks a lot about who we are in public and who we are in private. And I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago as well, but, you know, whether we realize it or not, because, and we can all say as much as we want to that we don't care what other people think. Oh, Kelly, thank you for asking that question.
I
So
was about to tell you.
yeah, so what inspired us for this episode is, as I said at the beginning here, we are reading a book, and we're talking about the leadership lessons that are coming out of this with the case studies and everything else. It's The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, and I highly recommend it. Right now we're going over chapter 3, which is called Seeing Through People's Masks. That's why this episode is called The Masks We Wear.
Put
Self-leadership
that title
beyond
in
the
the
image.
chat.
Okay, I'll do that.
So,
Go ahead.
so you know, in the academy, when you're in the shares, they teach you how to read body language, tone of voice, you know, contradictions and all that. And basically, that's how you catch somebody in a lie. When you pull, for example, you have a traffic stop and you pull somebody out of the car and you're asking them, do you have anything in the car? And they know they do, but they just gonna go and lie about it. No, I don't got nothing in the car. Anything in the car that I should be aware of? No, I'm good. All right, I'm gonna search your car. We search the cars. We find things, you know, we give them that opportunity because we're reading their body language. We already know they're lying from the body language and the tone of voice, you know. So, and I know it's trained in the military too.
Yes.
You know, especially with interrogations and stuff. So while others listen to words, you know, people are watching body language. And I think it's very important. Watching body language is very, very important.
Yeah. So I'd like to see some comments here. It looks like we have like 79 people watching so far on the various social media platforms. And I thank you all for showing up. But the question I would like to ask everybody is, how much are people communicating how much do people communicate not verbal, not coming out of their mouth, you know, so not words necessarily? Is most communication words, or is most communication nonverbal?
Right. I sent you the call-in number, by the way. I
Okay.
think a lot of the communication is nonverbal because of the fact that, we got 4 listeners on the radio station.
Sweet.
I think a lot of it is nonverbal because we hear what people don't say.
Well,
does that make sense? I mean, I don't know if it makes sense, but we hear what people don't say. They communicate through body language.
Yeah. So we see it. I mean, if you pay close attention, you can see people's faces get red. I talked a lot about last call where people are they cross their arms when they're uncomfortable, or sometimes they itch their leg, or they look around in different directions if they are not super interested in the conversation. But it goes even deeper than that. Are we going to discuss whether some masks are actually necessary in certain situations? Absolutely. And actually, we're going to discuss a little bit how it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
How much are people communicating that never comes out of their mouths? That's a good question. How much are people communicating that never comes out of their mouths? Now, I want to say this is a double question because, number one, are you trying not to say something? Are you not saying something to try not to hurt someone's feelings, or are you trying not to say something because you're angry?
Right. Well, that's part of it. But to answer that question specifically, you know, most of our communication is nonverbal. Let's go, for example, just conversational.
Okay.
Say Vic and I are just having a conversation and I don't really like Vic. Well, that's hypothetical. Vic and I wouldn't be here if we didn't get along. But say
Oh,
I
we
didn't like,
fight like cats and dogs.
oh, right. Yeah. Well, that's what friends do behind closed doors. Right. But
Ugh.
if I didn't like him at all, I might act unusually interested in something that he said and make a big deal out of it just to save face. Or I may have a lack of reaction, even though I say that I'm enjoying what he's talking about or that I appreciate something that he's doing or whatever the case may be. And when you look at it that way, we are all subliminally communicating in one sense or the other, non intentionally. Our intentions come out through body language. Our intentions do not always come out through words. And that's a lot of what this chapter talks about. But it's also, you're right. They did train us on this in the military because, I mean, we have an enemy that we have to fight. So, I mean, you have to understand the enemy and understand how they communicate, understand the way, the different things in their culture and all that other stuff. A lot of it's body language. And
Yep.
I mean, gosh, when I was in Iraq, I'm not going to give, well, I can give the specific reason why, but I mean, I learned that you don't ever shake hands with the left hand, even if you're left-handed. Apparently, even if they don't do it now, back in foreign, they would defecate and wipe their hands with their left hand. And if you wouldn't have known anything about Iraq, that wouldn't be something that you necessarily would even know. And so it's a sign of disrespect to try to shake somebody's hand with your left hand. And so when it comes to nonverbal communication, what kind of reaction do you think you're going to get if I tried to shake somebody's hand with my left hand? Even if I'm holding a weapon or a coffee or something like that in my right, it doesn't matter what the inconvenience is for me. I'm violating somebody's something. They're not going to like me and probably not work with me very well after that, which is part of what a lot of war is how we communicate with people, which is why Lyndon B. Johnson's example is so important to me, because he was a politician. That's what politicians do every day. They have to keep relationships strong. Yeah.
Right-handed. I just had a thought pop in my head. Anything you do with the right side of your body, especially shaking hands, it's integrity. It's integrity. Shaking hands with the right hand means you're a man of your word. Back in the day, you shake a man's hand on a promise that you make with the right hand. That's integrity. That's a promise. Hey, cowboy days, you shake a man's hand on the right with the right hand, you're making a promise. You better hold your promise. Otherwise, we're going to put a bullet in you.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it meant something. And sometimes in some local cultures, cowboys specifically, I know it was one, but you do a
Wait, you was one? You was a cowboy?
Firm. Well, no, I wasn't a cowboy. Never. But, when you shake somebody's hands, it's firm and you look them in the eye. If you're intimidated by that person, oftentimes, and it actually even talked about it in this chapter, you might tend to squeeze a little bit more, and it's not communicating verbally, but you're telling that person, I'm tougher than you. Watch out. They may not say it out loud, but you obviously did something that upset that person, or maybe that person just doesn't like you, and that's why they're doing it.
A lot of times it'll be more of intimidation.
Yeah.
Intimidation.
Brandon, you asked, do you think people are always aware of the masks they wear? No, absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, we'll go into our next real world example here. Oop.
I like how Fine Golf Real Estate said you both make deep topics feel approachable. Well, you know what? That brings me to this. How many out there, and you can dial in at 909-295-1589 to throw in your opinion too. We want to hear your observation on this, but how many out there actually have tough, hard conversations? How many? Because the thing is, not everybody, and that's the thing. People with all these problems today, marriages fail because of a mask that they're wearing. I've always been told, what's wrong with you? I always check in. with people. Hey, what's going on? How are you feeling today? Are we good? Are you good? And I just want to make sure that there's no mask, there's no nothing hiding, because you know what? That moment somebody says, "Yeah, I'm good," I could tell right away they're not good.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you're in a relationship or married, always check in to see if there's a mask that is being worn. Hey, are we good? You know,
Yeah.
because somewhere deep down inside, that person might be hurting or have something on their mind that they can't talk about to anybody else. So
Mm,
that's another thing that we don't pay attention. We don't check in with people, you
right.
know?
Well, Don, thank you for asking this question. I don't think I'm going to answer it directly because it all depends on the situation and the personality and all that other stuff. I challenge you to go back to our last live. So if you're on YouTube and it says you are, go to the last one we watched where we talked a lot about narcissism. I think someone's upbringing could cause them to wear more masks. But in the case of Lyndon B. Johnson, just being a politician can cause somebody to wear a mask because maybe they would do things in private that could damage their public image. That we're going to talk about our next use case here, or our next case study here, which is Milton Erickson. He actually was a psychic, considered a psychic at one point. He was he would read people's. He was a psychologist. He did all kinds of things. He retired as a psychologist, so most of the stuff you'll find about him will be in the psychology realm. But they talked a lot about him in this chapter, and what they discussed was that he was when he was paralyzed by polio when he was younger. He had a lot of time to study behavior. He had sisters, which we all know as men, women can drive us crazy when we're kids. But in his case, he actually studied the interactions with his sisters, and women tend to communicate a lot more in verbally and non-verbally than men do, and he became fascinated by it. As a matter of fact, he didn't stop there. He started studying it as he became an adult, and he went on to make his practice about reading people and help them change their behavior to change the way they interact in public and gain influence. And so it's just really interesting. When he was in this, somebody crossed their leg at the beginning of a session, and he asked them, how long have you been cheating on your husband? And she said, I didn't say anything about that. He said, but I'm right. And apparently, because of his studies, he found that women that approach a man and immediately start crossing their legs, they're closing themselves off, but it usually means it's some sort of an insecurity. And they went on and on and on to talk about it a little bit more than that. But it was just really interesting how he made these connections. But so Unable to Move, he spent a lot of time, as I said, he studied the women, but he became fascinated by things like facial expressions, the tonality of people, definitely emotions, some emotions. And then I think I put in the notes here, and small movements and stuff like that, which is how he came to that conclusion that I just talked about. But what an interesting way to look at life when you just study the movements of people and what that means about how they act in their personal life.
Yeah. And you know what? People wear masks to gain approval, hide insecurities, protect themselves, and avoid vulnerability. I know that JJ does that to me a lot. Damn you, JJ. But the goal isn't to expose people, like JJ said, how he saw a woman and said, how long you been cheating on your husband. The goal isn't to expose people. The goal is to understand human nature. We're it's funny. We will never figure out a woman. You will never figure out a woman. But I think with this book, we broke the code.
I don't know about that. We're still going to screw it up.
Right? You can never make a woman happy, I'm telling you.
Well,
go
ahead.
John says, how can leaders recognize when they performing instead of leading authentically?
So this isn't necessarily about putting on a mask, but it does sort of relate. Is it Joni or John? I'm not really sure what your name is, but I will say that leading authentically, it's there's a balance there. I mean, you don't want to let your entire personal life come into your work, unless it's in it's with your marriage, like say your wife and kids or your spouse, whatever your preferences, whatever. But when it comes to leading authentically, it's giving a bit of yourself for the sake of others in order for people to trust you. And if people don't trust you, then you're going to have to give up a little bit of that barrier that you set when you are leading your teams. Because if you don't, that and you never build trust, uh, whether it's through giving a little bit of yourself or by stepping in and leading from the front and showing them that you're not willing to just tell them to do the work, but you're willing to help out with the work. I mean, there are so many ways you can lead authentically, because sometimes people know that you know how to do what you're asking them to do. That way they don't think that you're just a do as I say, not as I do type of a person. But there are just 1,000 ways to build trust. And, when it comes to performing versus leading authentically, people are going to sniff you out if you're not being authentic. So if you want to lose the trust of your people, put on a dog and pony show every day. Sit in your office all day. I mean, that people aren't going to trust you after that. You need to be there with them, interacting with them, getting to know them. If you don't know your people and understand their strengths and weaknesses, then you're not going to understand when they're acting differently. And actually, this is talked about a little bit in this episode, where if you are studying the people that work for you and the people that you work for and with, then when things aren't right, you'll know it. And that's important, because if somebody just out of the blue, starts showing up late for work and you just punish them, but really, there have been signs for days, maybe weeks, that they're having a tough time in the office, and you wouldn't notice if you're not paying attention. Then maybe there wouldn't have been punishment. Maybe there would have been a conversation, a little bit of mitigation, and some, you know, just to help that person get through what they're getting through. Maybe if they need to take a week off of work or something like that, you could have helped facilitate that. Especially if maybe they were having I am like me, my basement just flooded. So if they had something like that happen, they might be staying up really late trying to clean up after it. And then they're showing up to work the next day and they're just exhausted. Give them a little bit of time. People are people. We're not perfect. But that's probably an over answer to your question, but I hope that helped.
I like what he asked ahead of that question. Can someone appear confident while feeling completely insecure? I would love to answer this one.
Go for it.
I would say yes, they can pretend. I love that. Can someone appear confident while feeling completely insecure? They call it, I forget what they call it, but
faking the funk.
Faking until you make it. Let's go. Until you make it. So it's called faking it till you make it. We're taught in this in business. Whether you are confident in giving a speech, a talk. I know JJ, when he first started, he's like, dude, I can't do this live speaking thing. But he's like, I'm getting ready to start a podcast. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to talk about. I said, JJ, shut up, dude. Listen to me. And I gave him little, tips and everything. And now look at dude is like, I can't get him to stop going live, man. Pretty soon he's going to have his OnlyFans up and ready. But the thing is, yes.
Whoa.
Yes. Where was that question at? Can someone? Okay.
I can put it back up there.
Yeah. So if you are struggling because you're insecure, here's a little motivation for you. What is it that's holding you back? What is it that you're insecure of? Okay. I am not the greatest motivational speaker. I am not the greatest speaker. I will say this. There are times where you have to say, I am confident. I am badass. I am. Affirmations. And whatever you're going through, or if you have to speak or whatever, say, I am going to make this work. I am going to speak. I'm going to be the best speaker. I'm going to be the number one speaker. Put out those affirmations, put out those positive vibes, so that way your insecurity thought process leaves. And by the time you hit that stage, like with JJ, by the time you hit that stage, you're going to be like, you know what? Sorry. By the time you hit the stage, you're going to be like, yo, I rock that. Everybody's going to come up to you, whether you messed up, whether you fumbled over your words, whatever. And they're going to give you that positive reinforcement, and take it, accept it. Okay. Even if there's somebody that says, hey, you could work on this, you could work on that. And look at JJ's like, dang, you hitting every.
Oh,
but
no, there was another good question in here.
Oh, I think we're going to be answering questions today.
Yeah, that's okay.
But like JJ said, we overlook ourselves, and we just start feeling more insecure about ourselves when we're chasing something. So we put on a mask, like, for example, the other day, I'm not going to lie, I do fight depression. And when I have to do something, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it, I get in my head, and depression starts getting me, starts eating it away. And then when I go out, I'm always putting on a smile. So I put on a mask. You know what I'm saying? I put on that mask because I want to make sure somebody else that is in front of me is happy and smiling. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that you asked that question, because I will move on from that here in just a second. Which one was it? Hold on. Robert Greene's concept deserves a connection. How do they begin with reconnecting with who they really are? So I'll answer this one, and then I'm going to move on to Bob's question, because they're both really good. So how does somebody begin connecting with who they really are? I am not a psychologist, and neither is Vic. But what I will say is that
I'm just psycho.
What I have learned, and I have PTSD. I go to the psychologist on a regular basis, and so this is kind of, since I transitioned from the military, I've had this conversation a lot, and that is, who am I now that I'm not wearing the uniform? And the one thing that the psychologist always asks me when I ask them this question is, who do you want to be? Your identity is what you make it. If you want to be a kind and gentle person, but you've had a life of violence, you just got to take one step towards doing that, and become who you want to be. Now, reconnecting with who you really are. If you know you have violence, don't shy away from that. Just don't act on it. I think warriors have violent tendencies, but they only stand out and act violent when it's needed. I mean, you could protect your family. You could protect somebody that might be getting picked on at work, maybe getting picked on at another time. And it doesn't have to be with your fists. My goodness, if I got in a fight today, I think I'd be laid up on the couch for a week. But, on the other side of that, if I had to do it, I would. Well, whatever, it is what it is. But so, Bargain Holmes, you said, how do people begin reconnecting with who they really are? Well, just be honest about it, but be who you want to be.
Yeah.
And so the next one we can answer together, Vic, because in the interest of time, we got to move along here. Bob asked, I'm curious, how can someone tell if they're building relationships based on authenticity or performance? You want to do that one?
Oh.
Okay.
Pick me.
Go for it.
Well, here's a better question. How much could your relationship improve if you spent more time observing and less time assuming?
Yeah.
How much can your relationship, and here's the thing. I'm a people watcher. I'm a big time people watcher, where I literally will watch people's actions versus their words.
Yeah.
You tell me you love me, prove it, show me. You tell me you're sorry, prove it, show me. When somebody says they're sorry, they're going to repeat it again. When I tell somebody I'm sorry, I try to fix that. You know, hey JJ, when you hear the word repent, and I'm not trying to be biblical or preach or anything, but the word repent, what does that mean to you?
Well, repenting means that you're showing remorse for something that you've done, that you're willing to act in a way where you can be forgiven.
It means turn around, go the other turn
That's right.
around, go the other direction.
Yeah.
So how can someone tell if they're building relationships based on authenticity or performance? Well, let me ask you this question. Did you ask the person, what is your intentions?
Yeah. Yeah. And if so he gave it on a personal level. Bob, if your question was on an organizational leadership level, this is kind of not perfect at it, but I do feel that I specialize in this. This is where most of my conversations take place in my business, because I do leadership coaching and I do workshop presenting and training for a living. But what I would say, how can someone tell if they're building relationships based on authenticity or performance? Well, everyone likes a high performer. They do. If they're only coming to you to give you more work, or coming to you with questions about work, or coming to you with stuff like that, then they might authentically need help, or they might authentically need you to do something, but they're not being themselves. They're keeping it strictly business, and relationships are not built on strictly business. Relationships are built on giving a little bit of yourself to somebody else and letting them know that you care about them, not just the work that they're doing. And so if this is on an organizational leadership level that you're asking this question, I would say don't just give people work or go to them when you need help with something at work. Interact with them and get to know them as a person. That way you'll have more conversations based on that, not just about the work that they're doing every day. I hope that answers your question, Bob. Do you have anything to add to that, Vic, or was that okay?
No, that was perfect. That was perfect. So
Okay.
point number 2 is listen to words, trust patterns. Basically, I look at action. I'm all about an action person. I'll listen to your words. I'll accept your apology. I'll hear you say I love you. Words tell stories, patterns reveal truth.
By the way, thank you everybody for commenting on how great our answers are, and every commenting how every few minutes there's a great takeaway, or you need to rewatch this or whatever. We really appreciate your support. And so, man, Vic, I know you have something to say about this point. So go ahead and give your opinion. I could just see it on your face. I was getting ready to start talking, but it's your turn, brother.
I think you need, you know what? I'm going to take a couple minutes here. I think a lot of people need to look at people's actions. Lately, I've been dealing with actions. Lately, I'm gonna be real. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I thought literally we were gonna reconnect a friendship, rebuild a friendship from, over a year and a half. Some stuff went down, and literally he came at me sideways, and at the last message he sent me was, "Did you not get the clue? I don't want to be friends with you anymore. It's always been about you. You sucker people into your BS." And I'm like, yo, where is this coming from? And so today I read something. I get these motivational things on my lock screen, and it says, pay no attention to toxic words. What people say is often a reflection of themselves, not you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. People will get into arguments with you, say things to you, and then later on be like, I didn't mean it. I was angry. Well, you got to look for the follow through, reliability, consistency, behavior under pressure. I think anytime somebody, if you and your partner or a friend are in an argument, it's behavior under pressure because number one, they want to vent everything out. And
Yeah.
I've been told I'm a good guy. I will bend over backwards for you. I will take the shirt off my back for you. I will give you money. I will literally do what I can to make sure you're happy and you are taken care of. And a lot of people hear me when I say this. When you're doing that to somebody, that other person will not see it. They will see what you're not doing for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So listen to words and trust patterns because, hey, look, JJ, how many times have I called into you and checked in with you? How many times have we had conversations? How many times have I been vulnerable with you? How many times have we've been dudes, we've been bros, we've been buds, we've been boys. You my boy, and yeah, we talk on personal level where, hey, JJ, I want to run this idea by you. Hey, JJ, I got this issue going on.
Yeah. Well, that actually is a good point, and it helps. It's kind of a good segue to answer Francis's question here. So, how can entrepreneurs remain authentic while also building a professional brand? So there are two types of entrepreneurs: ones that start a business as a solopreneur, and ones that start a business with a team. And Francis, I'm going to go ahead and say that when you have a team, it's the same as starting it by yourself, but you have to understand what your values are and how you want to be as a business owner while being true to yourself. If you're not true to yourself, you're the stuff that you don't want to show will show up anyway later on. But how that translates to if you have a team in your business is if you don't establish those values and you don't help people understand the way that you want the business to run, to keep it the way you want it, and you just kind of let things take off, and then you try to save face all the time when things start going wrong because you never set that up to begin with, then you're not going to be able to have a business that is, the word is slipping my mind, but it's not going to be a cohesive business. You're not going to have communication up and down. You're not going to have a clear brand. You're not going to probably even have a clear product if you're selling one, and a way to communicate that consistently throughout the entire business or service or whatever the case may be. I know when I first started my business, I was trying to play the field and figure out what I wanted to do in the leadership realm. And people would ask me what I did, and I would say, well, I help people become better leaders. Well, how do you do that? And I would counter it with a question, what do you need? But I wasn't getting hired for a while because people didn't understand what I actually offered. They understood I was a veteran. They understood I said I taught leadership. I would show up to networking groups and people would say they were glad to know me because I said some great things. But there was nothing cohesive about what I was doing. And so when it came time to start selling products, I fell on my face for a little while. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do that because they're not being authentic with themselves, and they're not. When you're selling things as a business, people are buying you most times rather than buying your product. Yeah, they may need what you have to sell, but they're not going to buy it if you're not somebody that they can trust. So all these things that we talked about a few minutes ago about organizational leadership, they still apply to this. You got to be true to yourself and build trust with your customers. This isn't a business conversation necessarily, Francis, but I hope that answers your question a little bit.
I love that button.
The button?
The button.
Oh, yeah. We can't hear that.
Oh, okay.
So he's over there playing games in the background. We have no idea what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me see if you can hear it on this one. I don't know if you can.
No. Okay. So
anyway, sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's all right. So we'll go to the last point here, which is removing the mask. Um,
Well, there is one question.
yes,
What behavior immediately earns or destroys trust for you?
for me.
That's just the question.
Oh, somebody asked that.
No, no, no. Uh, Point number two: listen to words, trust patterns. The bottom part.
Oh my gosh.
Look
If
at you.
yeah. Well, I'm going to answer that. I think that if somebody is not being if somebody's being fake, if they're not being real, or if I find out that they lied to me, I likely will not have super positive interactions with that person from now on. That doesn't mean I won't work with them. I'm not going to let that person hire me to do business. I'm not going to hire that person to do business. I'm probably going to have some interesting things to say if that person tries to date my daughter or something like that. But that it's not going to be super positive from that moment forward. Once trust is broken, it has to be re-earned, and that's not as easy as it is with the trust that you're given right off the bat.
Right. And you know what? But good example here. Um, I had a venue that said they were going to bring me back, and they didn't. Well, they did the same thing to another KJ. They booked him, and the day came, they booked a different KJ and didn't go with him. So I'll tell you right now, if it's a routine, repeated pattern that people are always doing what they do, it destroys trust. Like you don't lie. So, all right. How many of y'all are ready to remove your own mask?
Me?
Yeah, I think that's your actual face.
Oh man, damn it. Okay. Well, so removing the mask, and a lot of people ask questions that revolve around the three main points here. The three questions that kind of reveal that you do have a mask in the first place is: what image am I trying to protect? Why? And do my actions support what I say and what I value? And the interactions that we've had here on this live stream today really support that ideology that we actually do have something we have to prove. I know that Vic and I, before we started this live stream today, we agreed that we get along with each other because we don't really care what people think of us. But
yeah,
having this conversation and hearing some of the comments that you guys are seeing, some of the comments that you all have made, some of the questions that you've asked, we all have something that we're hiding. And I think that the level of trust that people have for us, I mean, that we have for others, determines the amount that we let them see of who we are. I mean, for me, if you want to see the real JJ, I'll joke with you, I'll laugh with you, I'll do all that stuff. But if you want to see the real me and find out more about my past, why I do what I do, and all that other stuff, you ask, I might tell. But for the most part, you have to earn that, and you only earn that by showing me that you're a person of value. And I think that that's a leadership lesson that you can take, whether you're in a relationship with marriage, a relationship with, a new girl that you met, or a new guy that you met, or you're in a business and you have a team that you have to lead and you're having a hard time getting them to trust you. Well, take a deep look at how you interact with them on a day-to-day basis, because I guarantee, and I preach ownership all the time, I guarantee something that you're doing is probably causing those interactions to not be great. And yeah, I'm sure that person may just be a poor performer, or yeah, your wife may be nagging you all the time, or yeah, those people at work, they're not doing stuff as well as you would do it, or whatever the case may be. But if you want to improve performance on your team or create better relationships, you have to create those. It's not called leadership because you stand by and just let stuff happen. It's called leadership because it's your job to lead those conversations. It's your job to help those people trust you, whether you trust them or not. If you're placed in a position where you're your company is trusting you to lead, then lead. Be that person that people can trust. Don't expect people to have to earn your trust all the time and all that other stuff. No. It's a two-way street. So figure that out.
Boom. Mic drop.
What do you think?
I think, honestly, I think, dude, you just hitting all points, man. You're like one of the, you're like Sylvester Stallone.
No.
You just taking everything out today.
Well,
hey, look,
that's
like
when it comes to taking off the mask, though.
Yeah,
you have to be intentional about it.
You have to be real. Look, I was raised in church. I went to a what was it called? A convention, and basically, if you're not real with yourself, how can you be real with other people? How can you be real with the team? How can you be real with your future? If you're not real with yourself, how many of y'all are willing to deal with the demons that are inside you? True story. I'm going on 9 months, no alcohol, 9 months sober. And the second month I had to deal with the demons inside me. I had to deal with actual things that my ex-wife did to me, and it hurt. My parents did to me, it hurt. But you know what? It's time to take that mask off. It's rip that mask off, be genuine, be real. Like I said, be real, be free, be fearless, you know? And self-leadership begins when your behavior aligns with your values. Is your words aligning with your value? Is your actions aligning with your value? Because I can tell you right now, actions, values create trust.
Yep.
And if people ignore your words and only watch your actions, what would they learn about you? Like I said, I'm a people watcher. I will learn your actions because that's what I do.
Yep.
So,
well, we're at the end here. So thank you all for participating. Feel free to still leave. If you wait till the stream is over to please leave a comment below so I can see it later. All of these kind of disappear after the live stream is over, unless you're on a platform other than YouTube. So appreciate you showing up.
We got a challenge though.
We do have a challenge. I was getting ready to say that. Go ahead if you want to do it. If you
no,
want to do it, go ahead.
Sorry, my bad.
No. So we have a couple challenges here. For the next 7 days, observe more than you speak.
Write these down.
Yeah,
Write these down.
I'm going to put this in the chat too. Observe more than you speak. Watch actions over promises. And ask yourself, and notice patterns, and then ask yourself, do people's actions match their words? And then turn it around on yourself. Do mine?
Then turn the mirror around. So call to action. What's the biggest mask people wear in leadership today? Drop your answers in the comments. And here's the harder question for a lot of us. What mask have you had to remove to become a better leader, a better person, a better husband, better friend, better parent?
Yeah.
So,
well, what now? Before we end, we do this at the end of every time we have one of these conversations. What takeaway do you have from this, Vic?
Oh man, my takeaway is watching people's actions, and listening to the words. I will be honest, and I'm gonna say this, that the way people act is how they feel, but what they say is what they really feel.
Yes. My takeaway is going to be, we all only give what we feel the other person deserves. in any one-on-one interaction. And if you want different interactions with somebody, you gotta earn those. If you want to become more friends with somebody or whatever, then you got to earn those. But on the flip side of that, if your interactions with somebody are often a little off, pay attention to how they act. Maybe they don't want to be around you at all, and you need to be okay with that. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That just means you're not for everybody. And people that don't want to be around you don't deserve you. So keep that in mind. And that's really what my big takeaway is from this conversation and reading this chapter. The next chapter is chapter 4. And it is.
And you know what, guys? Everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching online, invite your friends. We want to grow this, and we're seriously going to be
live every Sunday.
Live every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 in the morning. So no.
11 a.m. 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Central time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And if you really want to make sure that you're able to attend these things, and honestly, you're there, you're on the radio with Vic, but you're live wherever you are with me, make sure you subscribe to wherever you're seeing this, so you get that notification when another live comes up, or another one of these conversations come up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We want to see you come back. And people like Francis and Bob and all those great people that had comments today, we want to see your comments again. So please do that. Our next conversation is going to be next Sunday, and it's on determining the strength of people's character, the law of compulsive behavior. So if that interests you, again, don't forget to subscribe, and we hope to see you then. Anywhere else you're listening to this or watching this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have a question later on, if you're watching this not live. Otherwise, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
And here's the other thing too. If you want to be part of our community at the Growth Forge,
do it. Go on Facebook and look up the Growth Forge. This logo that's right above both of us in the middle, you'll see it. Join us. But otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday. And thank you all for participating today. It means a lot to us. Take care.